Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about Mara. It's been a while since I talked about this one. I think the last time was when PayPal and Bitcoin made a deal together, and I talked about whether it's going to see another run or not. And obviously, it did see a little bit of a jump here, but then kind of was short-lived. I'm going to talk today about their earnings potential. I'm going to visit previous potentials, earnings, and what is yet to expect. I'm not going to make this by just, oh, this is the estimate over there. No, I'm going to dive deeply through it. I'm going to go briefly through technical analysis and then dive right into that. Let's jump right into it. So on the 1 week perspective, what we get to see here is an MACD that is actually curving upwards. That is a good sign. ADX here is sitting at 42.15. It shows that there's a strong trend that formed before. I believe somewhere around this region here. But it's seeing still that same trend that hasn't broken yet, per se. It's still accumulating. Remember, we're trading around 40 cents before. Now, when it comes in towards momentum, it looks like it has lost its momentum last week and still recovering from it. Similarly, the William %R mimics the momentum and is sitting somewhere right now at closer to oversold. Moving averages look extremely bullish except the 200 SMA. Still above the trading action zone, so in theory, it still has until $1.85 to drop and still see a reversal between the 10 SMA and 30 EMA. Now, on the 1 day perspective, the chart looks a lot better. Well, a lot more interesting. MACD, it looks like it's actually curving upwards. It comes into ADX, it just shows a sloppy movement though. Momentum looks like it slipped on the last day. William %R actually has gone from overbought, it's kind of dipping down to a little bit closer to neutral. Look at the moving averages here. It's quite interesting. So what we get to see here is the 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, and then now we're getting to see is that currently the price is above the 50 SMA, it was below the 50 SMA, so in that sense it went from bearish to bullish on the 50 SMA. 30 EMA was above 10 SMA, right now 10 SMA is above 30 EMA, but you get to see it's actually kind of curving down, so we might actually get a pullback here. That is a little bit of a dangerous sign. Since earnings is Monday, I'm going to be doing a 2-hour perspective. You get to see that it's actually a little bit sloppy on everything else except the moving averages. The moving averages look bullish and it shows in a chance off a reversal, so I'm going to take that as the moving average. Here, take it with a grain of salt, but you know, it's good to know that the moving averages are with you if you're bullish on this. Now, the moving average band here, I don't really trust those ones as much with such movements, but for the sake of argument, 267 on the top, 243 in the middle, and 219 on the bottom. The stochastic fast and stochastic slow. What you get to see here is that it actually looks like it might have another leg. It's actually curving up. You're not in this region here where you can expect pullbacks, but at the same time, what you get to see is that %D is actually dipping down onto the %K over here. That is sometimes a warning sign. You're basically looking into something similar to this here. Get to see? Get to see a sort of a dip somewhere around this region. So it's more of a warning sign. Kind of curving a little bit down, but we have a catalyst on Monday, so there's that to keep in mind. Next is levels of resistances and supports. So we're going to take the 525 all the way down to the 35 cent mark, and let's take a quick look. You get to see a significant Fibonacci support at the 222, followed by 148. Above that, 338 as a resistance, and 420. Now, let's take a quick look into significant supports and resistances. Of course, a significant support sits currently somewhere around this region at the 218. I'm going to zoom in there. 218. And then below that, we're looking at the 206. Below that, we're looking at the 182. And below that, it gets to break all the way down to the 150. Significant resistances, you know, that's where you want to count your money at. 250. So when I'm saying significant resistances, it's probably where you might want to start phasing out your capital if you're in profit. 311 is the next one, and then if you look all the way back, you get to see somewhere at the 316 here and the 327. So let's take a quick look at patterns. Do I recognize any pattern? Nothing seems to be significant. I mean, I can still draw a trend line going all the way back from here. Try to say, okay, well, it's still meeting that trend line, but with, you know, with these 3 points, what's the point? It's not been touching that trend line forever now. Technically, I can still say that this is another trend line, so you know what? I'll take it at this one here. It still hasn't broken that trend line, even though the trend line is a little bit further down from where the stock price is. Now let's take a quick look into company news. So there's a bit to cover into this one, and it's a little bit more of like a research type, so you have to bear with me because I'm going to connect the dots here. So first of all, I'm going to go through press releases here, and you get to see, well, they're announcing purchases of 10,000 S19 Pro miners from Bitmine. Marathon Patent Group appoints the former Las Vegas monorail executive Simon Salesman as its chief financial officer. I covered that in my previous video. They announced a joint venture with VWealth Energy for 105 megawatt Bitcoin data center. Marathon Patent Group engages Gateway to lead expand investor relations program. And they acquired fast block mining companies unable to reach long-term power agreement at acceptable rates. Marathon Patent announces installation of 1360 next generation miners, increase in hash rate of around 230%. So you might look at this and be like, wow, they are really expanding fast. You know what? I expect their earnings or their profit to multiply and double. Here is where I'm going to burst your bubble a little and explain it a little bit further. But before we do so, let's take a quick look at the last filings to get an explanation of, well, you know, the improvement on it. So upon delivery of full installation, the company's mining operation will include around 23,560 next generation miners, making it the largest self miner in North America with a total hash rate of 2.56 EH per second. Okay, so basically they have a really nice chart here. But before we do so, the first additional here is each miner produces 110 THS. Basically, to the existing facility operations to 56 miners, 500 additional S19 Pro miners will arrive on November 2020, so it's yet to arrive. Beginning in 2021, the company will receive the following shipments: 4,000 in January, 4,800 in February, 1,800 in April, 1,800 in May, and finally 1,800 in June. So it won't impact this earning report, but this is something to keep in mind for the next earning report, because that's how they get money, right? If you haven't known already, this company basically works in confirming Bitcoin mining. And Bitcoin mining, I explained it in my previous video, is basically confirming transactions and stuff like that, or basically checking the volumes and all that stuff for Bitcoin. And there's something called blockchain reward. I'm going to go through it again. But before we do so, this is the chart here. I'm not sure if I can zoom it in. Right here, it's going to be very blurry, but you get to see the increase in projected hash. Right now, we're sitting in November. There's not much of an increase, right? But the increase kicks in somewhere around February. So Q2 of 2021 is where you start seeing the increase in revenue from transactions or from Bitcoin mining. Next thing, well, they had the ventures for 105 megawatt Bitcoin mining data center. As I explained before, this one here, it's going to be increasing by, again, second quarter 2021. So massive news for 2021. Next thing over is we're going to look into winner's earnings estimate. And the earning estimate is to be set around November 9th based on previous reports. Presentation still disappointing, can't find anything there. If you happen to find this presentation, please link it in the comments below for others. I wasn't able to locate it, or at least a recent one. Next thing is their earnings. So before doing their earnings here, well, actually a part of doing their earnings is I want to go through something called Bitcoin rewards, okay, or block rewards. So basically, a block reward refers to the amount of number of Bitcoins you get if you successfully mine a block of currency. The amount of rewards halves every 210,000 blocks, or roughly every 4 years. The amount is expected to hit 0 in 2140. I'm not going to go to 2140, with still 120 years from now, but we're talking about the current rate. So it says every 4 years. Now, if you look into this chart, we already hit that halving mark. And this is kind of a counter that counts down, right? The next one is around May 2024, so 4 years before that, we already hit the halving point. So that means at this current rate, in 2016, for every block they actually verify, they get 12.5 Bitcoins. Now, they take 6.25 Bitcoins. And this definitely reflects into revenue. I'm going to show you in the corner reports. You're going to definitely find that actually happened. Now, in terms of volumes here, some people will be like, okay, well, the price of Bitcoin jumped, so that means the volume has increased. Volumes have been fluctuating. So you get to see, yes, there has been a massive increase of volume, I think around 100 and, but I'm talking about from November 3rd to November 4th. But look into the average. It's been basically almost exact same. It hasn't really changed that much. It always fluctuates back and forth, but you get to see if you take the average, it's probably going to be a very similar line. So that's something to consider. Next is their earnings. So I'm going to start with, let's say their June. Now I'm going to do September 2019, June 2019, 2018. I'm going to move forward. So June 2019 to 2018, you get to see the cryptocurrency here. Revenue has halved from 661 million, or no, that's not even in thousands, just the net price. So 661,000 in revenue to 335. Their net loss goes all the way though because they cut down from expenses. It goes from 4.7 million to around 570,000. So that's good. Then let's take a quick look into September. September, you get 754,000 in terms of net loss, still half what it was in the year before. Revenues seem to be very much stable. You look into here, 355, 321, so it's around the same thing. Next is March 2020. What we get to see here in revenue, it has actually increased. It's almost doubled, so that is a good thing. And we get to look into their net loss. That has increased. That's a dangerous thing because it actually almost doubles from what it was in the last time. So that's something to consider. Next thing is June. You get to see it went back to almost half. Remember here? 592 and 286,000. But the net loss is actually a lot more. But this also has things, I believe, with acquisitions and things related to taxes and compensations. As you get to see, it is a massive, significant increase. Now comes into what's next. So I'm not sure if this price, well, I would imagine this price includes the halving of the current cryptocurrency of the block rewards, but I do expect that right now what you get to see is that they're increasing their operations, they're jacking up their operations. Not because, you know, they want to be massively increasing the revenue, they will, but also to compensate for that block reward halving. So that's something to keep in mind, right? I can go on with institutional buyers here quickly, and you get to see with institutional buyers, it seems we've been having additions rather than subtractions. BlackRock, 302 shares, very significant, but you get to see a bunch of different companies still believe in this one and adding shares rather than increasing shares. Insider buyings or insider purchases, I don't see anything significant here, nothing at all. It's almost been dead, except back in September, there's been conversions, but nothing significant here, and there's no purchases. By the way, this website is fintel.io if you want to check it out. A really beneficial website. The next meeting is on December 17th at 10 a.m. Nothing significant here, additional shares, incentives, etc. Nothing shocking. And the other thing here is basically their plans for the future when it comes in towards warrants and whatnot and executable shares or warrants. So nothing significant as well. Again, just normal. I've gone through this news, and I already mentioned the CFO has changed. The older one has retired. He didn't leave. Next thing is, well, I already covered this one as well. So basically, we've covered everything we need to cover in terms of news. Comes to the question, Ed, what do you think we should do? Well, I'm not sure if earnings is confirmed on November 9th, but very much of the estimates have. Usually, well, sometimes they have an SEC filing saying it's to report earnings on this day from the company itself. Right now, it's the third parties that are confirming it. So, assuming November 9th is the earnings, I don't expect a massive jump in revenue. And their massive play here is their expenses. If they manage to lower down their expenses while keeping the revenue decent after the block reward halving, then I think this one has a really nice future. But the block reward has halved, but they're doing a lot of, adjustments and adding more units and stuff. So it's hard to say how that's going to be impacted. Is it going to have? I can't tell you, because they've been doing a lot of operation changes. But I expect the revenue to be a little bit less than the 500,000 or 600,000, but still more than 200,000. I think their expenses are going to cut it down, and so their earnings is not going to be as bad. But you want to make sure that you cover your risks. If you're willing to take a risk, hold through. If your risk tolerance is tiny like mine, then you might want to sell before on a jump. That's my opinion. What do you think about this sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.